Join the millions of people who have switched. The Sprint network is faster, more reliable, with better coverage than ever. To celebrate, we're extending our 50% off promotion so you can save 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile rates. And don't miss another deal that's out of this world. Get 2 Samsung Galaxy S7 phones for the price of 1. Plus, with Galaxy Forever, act now and you'll get to upgrade to the next Galaxy in 12 months. To make it easier, we'll even cover your costs to switch, up to $650 per line. This special offer is available for a limited time only, so there's never been a better time to switch. Hurry, visit a Sprint store at sprint.com/GS7 to learn more.
Offer coverage not available everywhere. Excludes taxes, surcharges, add-on and premium content. Subject to Newport activation fee and credit. See website for eligible plans. Savings until 2018 after pay full amount. Requires 24-month leases with new lines or one eligible upgrade. Service credit is monthly. Early termination of lease service terms apply. Galaxy Forever is after 12 lease payments and does not guarantee price or phone selection. $650 reward card after online registration and phone turn-in. Restrictions apply.
This is the Happy Hour Network.
Pay attention, son. This is for your own good.
Thompson on the mic, so just chill with the set. All day, yeah. Just know we talk ball all day. Welcome to the full court press. Full court press. We got Danny Thompson on the mic, so just chill with the set.
Welcome, May 3rd, 2016. This is Full Court Press Radio Playoff Edition for Tuesday, May 3rd, 2016. I'm your host, Danny Thompson, checking in with you tonight. We are live on the Happy Hour Network as well as through our app, which is Full Court Press on Android as well as Apple. We're up and going, had a few issues throughout the week, but we're going to be talking basketball for the next 1 hour. 347-857-1947 is the number to check in with me tonight. I got my main man Paul Garcia on for Project Spurs to talk about last night's controversial finish between the Spurs and the Thunder. We're going to get everything from his perspective. He was at the game last night. He's going to give us, his take, talking to the players on both sides. And we're going to talk more about the Spurs and Thunder because basically this is going to be a series that in a lot of cases could go the distance. We're also going to talk about the Heat and Raptors as well as the Dubs and the Blazers. And can Cleveland win a game in this series? But let's start with the biggest news of the week. It's back to the Los Angeles Lakers again. The Lakers have hired Luke Walton, lead assistant for the Golden State Warriors, as their next head coach. And, the big story in L.A. was they passed on Tom Thibodeau. They also passed on Scott Brooks. Thibodeau really wanted to coach Los Angeles. Brooks, I thought was going to be a good fit out there. And they went with the guy who, one, is a former Laker, and number two, at the same time, he did go 39-4 as head coach of the Golden State Warriors while Steve Kerr was out. So you have a guy on one aspect who's, an unproven head coach in some cases, but also in other cases, the guy can flat out coach. And I think it's his time to be able to do something special. And for Lakers fans, there's something to be really optimistic about because I've said this in different places to different people all across the country. I think that right now the Lakers are in a great situation right now. And what I mean by that is that you have over $50 million of salary cap room to go on top of a brand-new head coach and a potential top 3 pick because 2 weeks from tonight, the NBA lottery will be announced, and we're going to have a special live show talking lottery, also talking playoffs at the same time. But if the Lakers pick ends up in the top 3, Lakers fans have a lot to think about. Because really with 2 max deals this summer, the Lakers could potentially sign Hassan Whiteside, and then you really have a whole multitude of options. Whiteside's a guy you're going to have to pay max dollar for, but Whiteside and his defensive ability could hide a lot of the stuff that Julius Randle doesn't do defensively, which is a smart move. And then, if you have a top 3 pick, let's just say it's the top 1 or 2, that's Brandon Ingram and Ben Simmons territory. You're going to get one of those 2 guys who can help basically change everything in your franchise. You re-sign Jordan Clarkson under the Gilbert Arenas rule because he's a second-round pick, and he can make a nice little salary, but it won't be like a max contract. You have that option. You already have D'Angelo Russell. Yeah, we'll throw the issues out behind the window, but Russell's still one of the more talented players in the NBA. Now you have Simmons or Ingram with Randall in the front court, who averaged a double-double last year. You throw in Hassan Whiteside, you have Jordan Clarkson, and you have D'Angelo Russell. And then at that point, you still have $30 million in salary cap room. It's the perfect storm for Lakers fans. I mean, yes, you can spend the money on Kevin Durant. Maybe. Maybe spend the money on Mike Conley. Maybe. Maybe add a couple of, $9 to $10 million players to add to what you already have, and you probably become much more deeper and much more younger, possibly. Or you could do what the Lakers always do, is go after a big name and then trade the pick and another player for another star player. We all know the Los Angeles Lakers have been one of those teams where they just don't go out and rebuild. They reload. The Lakers couldn't reload over the last couple of years for obvious reasons. Kobe Bryant was one of them. And I don't think not too many people wanted to play in the shadow of Kobe Bryant, so I get it. So with Kobe Bryant now gone, his money's off the books. Roy Hibbert is now gone. You have a ton of cap room. And whoever comes into that place this year, and the Lakers could do this. If you can't land Kevin Durant or you can't land DeMar DeRozan, and you sign Hassan Whiteside, you can be patient for a summer. You keep the $30 million in cap room, or wherever you don't spend the Whiteside, and guess what? You look at the summer of 2017, where there's a guy named Russell Westbrook sitting out there in free agency. I'm not going to say he could potentially get Steph Curry, who is also a free agent, but the 2017 free agent class is full of point guards. I mean, there are guards galore in that class. So if you don't get anything in this year's class, you can load up in next year's class. And I'm pretty sure Russell Westbrook potentially being your superstar franchise player sitting out there is not a bad proposition. And so as Lakers fans, who are Lakers fans out there listening to the show, it makes a lot of sense. And what I mean by that makes a lot of sense, guess what? The Lakers have a dream job. And Luke Walton is going to be executing this. As long as Jim Buss and Jeanie Buss can just stay together and don't do anything crazy, the Lakers are building themselves for a deeper run with a whole bunch of younger players. Russell, Randall, and Clarkson are all under the age of 24 years old. You add Whiteside, I think it was about 25, 26. And let's just say you do add Kevin Durant at 27. Ben Simmons and Brandon Ingram are just not even 20 years old. I don't think either one are 20 years old yet. So look at your nucleus and what you have in the future. Maybe you do go after Kevin Durant, and maybe you do package up maybe the pick, another player for, I don't know, a Jimmy Butler. Can you imagine the Lakers lineup being Clarkson, Butler, Durant, Randall, and Whiteside? Just think of the possibilities that you have on the floor. I mean, Butler's defensive stopper. Kevin Durant's your main scorer. Whiteside is your interior post defender. Jordan Clarkson's the guy getting the ball, and Julius Randle's being like Zach Randolph was in Memphis, just a guy who just gives you a double-double every single night. 347-857-1947 is the number to check in with myself tonight. Ethan Stern will be on our number in the second half of the show, talking everything about the Dubs, and we'll also talk Raptors and Heat as well, too, and also get a little bit of Cavs talk as well, too. And Paul Garcia will be on in about another 3 or 4 minutes talking everything Spurs. So we have so much going on in the NBA right now. Like I said, we want to start off the show with Luke Walton. And so another quick story in the NBA before we get into Paul Garcia is that, the LA Clippers went out in the playoffs, and Doc Rivers came out today, last couple of days, and said that they won't trade Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, or Blake Griffin in the offseason. A team that, let's just say they were snake-bitten. They had a chance, before Chris Paul and Blake Griffin's injury to basically make a lot of damage in the Western Conference playoffs because Stephen Curry is now out for at least 2 weeks. And with him being out for 2 weeks, it could have been a deeper situation, a better situation for them, to make something happen. But Paul breaks his hand. Blake Griffin hurts quad again. The Clippers get eliminated by the Portland Trail Blazers. And by the way, big shout out to our good friend Oliver Maroney, who did pick the Blazers in 6, and he didn't do it. He did it before all the injuries happened. So you got to give our good friend Oliver a shout out, and that's when we talked about it on the website when we talked about the series review. But Oliver called it. I mean, he's also called the Blazers in 6 again this time. So if the Blazers win in 6, I'm pretty sure Oliver Maroney would be the guy that you talk to for Vegas, and we'll definitely have on again as the Blazers go deeper in the playoffs. So big shout out to him as well, too. So 347-857-1947 is the number to check in with myself tonight. And we're going to be doing this again until the top of the hour, which is 9 o'clock Eastern time. So like I said, everybody download the app, and we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, Paul Garcia from Project Spurs will be on talking everything Spurs and Thunder, and we're going to get into that finish last night. For those who don't know about it, we'll talk more about it. This is Full Court Press Radio on the Happy Hour Network and the Full Court Press Radio app. We'll be right back in about 1 minute.
We're all born with the blues, whether we want to admit it or not. Though you'll truly experience the blues from a different yet very unique perspective when you visit Yippee-Ki-Yay Blues. At Yippee-Ki-Yay Blues, you'll experience some amazing sounds from aspiring talented musicians in the blues genre. Be sure to download Yippee-Ki-Yay Blues Android app from Google Play Store and get wired to the Rattled Beach Show on Friday nights. Blues on! YippieKiYayBlues.com.
We are back for Full Court Press Radio here on the Happy Hour Network. 347-857-1947 is the number to check with me tonight. Paul Garcia will be on in a couple seconds talking about the Spurs and the Thunder from PlanetSpurs.com. Like I said, great website to check them out over there. But before we go deeper into the playoffs, we also want to give a good shout out to our good friend Stephen Curry for winning the Magic Johnson Award today. You know, what award Stephen Curry hasn't won and what award Stephen Curry won't win this year? I mean, the last 2 years have been probably two of the most dominant years by any player we've seen in a long time. So we want to give a shout out to Steph Curry on that one. You know, it's going to be the more awards headed this way. And like you said, it doesn't happen to a better person because Steph is one of the more genuine players in the league and also one of the more genuine people. So as we go deeper in the show, our guest of the evening, he is a part of PlanetSpurs.com. He knows everything San Antonio Spurs. He's a good friend of the show, a good friend of the FCP family, our good friend Paul Garcia. Paul, how's it going, my friend?
Doing well tonight. Doing well.
Paul, I know I was hoping to have this conversation be a little bit better than it was about 12 hours ago. But you were there last night. And for those who were sleeping under a rock, didn't watch anything sports-related, or just decided not to watch basketball, the final 18 seconds of the Spurs and Thunder kind of reminded me of an episode of The Three Stooges. Everything that could have happened in the final 18 seconds. So, Paul, let's talk about it from the Spurs' perspective last night. When you were there and you saw it last night, what was your first impression when you saw the final? Let's start with the inbound. When the inbound happened with Dion Waiters, what was going on inside the arena, and what were you seeing from your vantage point?
From where I sit, I was just more focused on the 5 seconds. You know, I was kind of counting like, man, this is actually a lot of time. I didn't necessarily see the shove, the elbow toward Manu, and then as he threw it into play in the middle of the court, there was a lot of contact there, obviously. And the refs, kind of, it's playoff basketball. The refs let them fight for it, and San Antonio came up with it. It's a 3-on-1 situation, so they did have the timeout. I was wondering, are they going to call it? But it's such a rush. It was going nuts. It's loud. I mean, I don't know if San Antonio really anticipated they were going to make that steal. And then, of course, you saw what happened. Danny Green hits it to Patty Mills. His instead of Manu Ginobili, his lane's cut off. Patty throws it back to Manu. Manu draws in 2 defenders, kicks it out to Patty. But Patty hadn't been hitting all night, so. Steven Adams contested that shot very well. And then the crowd didn't get really frenetic until when Aldridge was kind of trying to get the ball after Patty's air ball, and him and Serge Ibaka were fighting for it underneath the rim. There was a lot of hands everywhere. The crowd's getting real hectic. And then once the buzzer sounded, the video board made sure they put that shove from Waiters. So that's when everybody went crazy. Coach Pop started yelling at the refs as he's headed toward the tunnel. And the security had to tell the refs, wait, let Pop, Pop and the coaching staff go first before, because Pop was just livid, almost like when he gets text and gets ejected from a game. It was that type of Pop that you saw, that very furious type of Pop. And so he had already calmed down by the time he gave the press conference. But I mean, it was just chaotic. I mean, there was 4 different scenarios where there was fans were going to fight. So there was security more in the nosebleed area. There was people going crazy. It was a very hectic, frenetic, crazy night.
Well, there's one thing that nobody had seen. Now, you were down there. What was the fans' idea of grabbing Steven Adams and just trying to grab him by the wrist, WWE style? With that being said, now you have a 1-1 series tie. Game 1 was a complete different game than Game 2. Game 1 was a complete Spurs blowout. And now you have this. Now you're going back to Oklahoma City. What was the mood in the locker room for the Spurs last night as they head to Oklahoma City later on this week?
The mood was almost like they felt that obviously they didn't play their best game, but they still had a chance. That's what they weren't too somber. They were obviously disappointed that they lost. I mean, these guys had only lost one game all year in that building. They definitely felt like